who's in the constructions of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu Ibobo Road in Ikorodu local government area of Lagos State. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu.
Soon, the atmosphere became electric. Sanwo-Olu used the working visit to interact with the people and further reaffirmed his commitment towards making more of government presence felt in the area.
I was at Odogion, the industrial estate, to commission and to hand over the big Kimberly-Clark factory. And on that road, we saw that we needed to fix that Odogion road that burst out onto the express, and we're ready to do it.
He also used the opportunity to commission the Ikorodu Youth Center with the hope that this will reduce social vices and take the youth off the streets.
Everything we're about is about ensuring that we can take our citizens out of the poverty line. We can produce and engage our youth. We can create for them job opportunity. And I can see the too many number here, right? Just 2-3 days ago, or was it last week, we set up, another youth empowerment. We're going to be using your honorable members and some of your local government chairmen so that we make some of these things available to you. They have to come down to your local community and tell you how you can access some of these funds that government has made available.
Chairman of Ikorodu local government, Wasiu Adesina, on behalf of the people, thanked Governor Sanwo-Olu for embarking on developmental projects in the division.
I have no doubt stating that your administration has transformed Lagos into economic hub of Nigeria. On the realization of dividend of democracy, your leadership has brought immense progress, not only to Ikorodu, but to Lagos State at large.
He told the governor that they are working with stakeholders, security agencies and state agencies on the security architecture of Ikorodu Division to boost the governor's efforts at attaining a crime-free state. From Lagos, Love Ikuku Uyedoku, Plus TV News.
On technology, in order to strengthen awareness and encourage women to pursue a career in tech, Tech Women Nigeria Alumni Group has issued certificates to 10 young women after 6 weeks of mentorship. The program, which is in partnership with the United States Consulate, is to encourage Nigerian women and girls to pursue studies and careers in science and technology. In the spirit of International Women's Day, these young people are being celebrated having gone through a 6-week training in the field of technology. The U.S. government says such program will advance equality across sub-Saharan Africa, promote opportunities for women, and efforts to prevent and respond to gender-based violence.
This is exactly what we want to see. We make an investment because we believe in our partnership with Nigeria. Tech is this is not an easy industry. We know you have the brains, we know you have the motivation, and now what you need is the tenacity.
It is an opportunity for us today to say and stand strong, to say that these young adults that are coming up, we are ready to help.
The event also captured the presentation of certificates to the 10 mentees.
This has been a worthwhile experience, a very good one. I'm happy we did this. This is the first edition, and we look forward to scaling this to bring in more women, bring in more entrepreneurs, bring in more people who are looking forward to professions and career in technology to be able to get mentored, because mentorship goes a long way. Mentorship is literally standing on the shoulder of giants.
When we just use that word technology, it becomes very vast. It becomes like something that is very difficult. But believe me honestly, technology starts from, the little that you do, even with your phone. How well do you know your phone?
This is Nigerian women in tech giving back to young women, future leaders in tech. And we couldn't be more proud of all of them, and we're so proud to be able to support them.
The mentees expressed their excitement to be enrolled and positioned to change the narrative in the male-dominated industry.
It was amazing, and they made us understand that being into the tech field is not far-fetched. It's not based on you knowing how to code, because most of the things are not just coding. So you can be into tech without the knowledge of coding. I don't know how to code, and I'm in tech now.
Tech is something that I can do, and every girl and every woman that looks forward to, having a career in technology can actually come in and also break the bias on that path.
I've learned so many things that I know that on this my career path, there's no way I'm going to falter because of the foundation that Tech Women has built for me.
The mentees will further use their contacts, network and knowledge to advance in their professions. Well, someone like me has always seen tech to be a difficult one, but you've heard it that studies and careers in tech are not as difficult as one may think, as you can even start with your phone. On electoral bill, President of the Senate, Hamad Lawan, has said that the ruling by the Federal High Court in Abuja won't stop the National Assembly from amending the Electoral Act. The court, in a ruling delivered by the Iyangeco on an ex parte application by the People's Democratic Party, barred President Muhammad Buhari, the Attorney General of the Federation, and the Senate President from tampering with the newly amended Electoral Act 2022.
The Senate President, while reacting to the ruling by the Federal High Court after the Electoral Act Amendment Bill scaled first reading during plenary, said the same violated the provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended on separation of powers.
Judge Iyangeco, in a ruling on an ex parte application by the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, said the Electoral Act, having become valid law, could not be altered without following the due process of law. Specifically, the court restrained President Muhammad Buhari, the Attorney General of the Federation, and of course the National Assembly in the suit from removing Section 84, subsection 12 of the Act.
A PDP Senator, Gabriel Silsom, while rising under a point of order, faulted the ruling of the federal court.
Cannot stop us from making laws. The problem with the letter the president sent was that there was a part of it that interpreted the law. And I think that is the only part that the court can act on, because he said that the law we made is to violate the Constitution, which is not his responsibility. And I think to that extent, the court can comment on that one, but not on the fact that we are making law.
Senator Ike Ekweremadu, while citing Order 52.5 of the Senate Standing Order, called on the Senate to abide by the court ruling.
If there is a court order, no matter how wrong it is, our responsibility as individuals and citizens is to respect it. The argument you have raised is what we are going to raise in response. You've raised this issue that you are aware of a pending court decision, you are aware of an order. I think the argument you have raised is valid, but this one will present in court to discharge that order. We cannot sit and appeal here on a matter that's already been given an order in court. So I think that we should exercise caution in sitting the judgment over a matter that a decision has been given, or at least an order has been given.
The Senate President, while giving his ruling to the order raised by Ekweremadu, said the judiciary under no circumstance can stop the legislature.
The judiciary under no circumstance can stop the legislature, the National Assembly, from performing its legislative duties. We know what our due processes are. So just like we wouldn't venture into what the judiciary does, the judiciary should understand that we have our processes. If the president rises to the National Assembly to request for an amendment, that is within his competence.
The Senate President said it is within the National Assembly's exclusive right to consider whatever request it received from Nigerians, either from the executive or private members' bill.
And finally, on this week's edition, wife of Lagos Governor Dr. Bijoke Sanwo-Olu has decried the rejection of the gender bills. She described it as discrimination against Nigerian women. She stated this during the 1 Million Women March against gender discrimination and called on the National Assembly to promptly reconsider the bills and approve them.
This rally saw the women from different walks of life marching from Lagos State Secretariat to the House of Assembly in Alausa, Ikeja. It was put together as part of activities to commemorate the 2022 International Women's Day. The theme was Break the Bias, Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. They want immediate passage of all gender bills in the House.
Women from all spheres of life standing for their rights, not happy with the rejection of what was passed at the National Assembly on the 1st of March 2022.
Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu maintained that there can be no development without the full and equal participation of women in all spheres. The men, including the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa, were in consonance with the women in their crusade.
You empower a woman, you empower the whole nation. So we always appreciate women in Lagos, in Nigeria and Africa for the good job you have been doing. You are the source of our family. You are the strength of the men.
Dr. Sanwo-Olu also spoke on the death of Miss Oluwabamishi, who went missing after boarding a BRT bus and was later found dead. She described the development as sad, shocking, and devastating.
This is a big slap on our face. Lagos State is not known for ritual killers, and we will not tolerate such. And from now on, BRT buses will have fixed cameras all over to monitor closely.
She urged Lagosians to continue to be security conscious, urging them to always say something when they see something and do something. From Lagos, Love Ikuku Oyedokun, Plus TV News.
And that's all on this edition of Plus Report. But before we go, let's still remind you to please follow us at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I am Jacinta Obiuku. Thanks for watching.
When you actually buy your land and you want to build, it's more expensive than when you buy into a property that is being developed for affordable housing. You buy the house plot for 4 million, you will clear the land, you will pay your money fees, the community fees, you would start possibly some fill the land, and then from there again you start producing. Now, because there's no large economy of scale, you will actually buy your block around 300 naira per block. If you are dealing with an affordable housing company, your block cost might come up to about 220, 250 because they are producing themselves. We try to eliminate third party as much as possible. If your land is triangular, you are going to waste a lot of money in construction.
Are you serious?
If your land is very irregular, up here, bent here, comma here, it's going to affect your design. The more edges you have, the more costly it becomes for you. So a rectangular land is actually the best buy.
Space and style. 6:30 p.m. on Saturdays and 5:30 p.m. on Wednesdays.
Hello, it's Plus Reports, where we bring you some of the stories and events that made the news recently. And just in case you missed out on some of them, don't worry, we've got you covered in this edition. Welcome, I'm Jacinta Obiuku. We are starting off on matters surrounding the 2023 general elections, where former senator representing Kaduna North at the 8th National Assembly has launched a new political party known as New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP. The political party said it will correct wrong and bad leadership of the current and previous parties that have put Nigerians into critical situations.
Ahead of 2023 elections, political parties are gaining momentum to retain power. This has led to the formation of new parties with the mandate to liberate the nation from its political situations. Speaking, the leader of the new political party, Suleiman Ankoyi, said Nigeria has spent a lot of time on political experiment, noting that there is need for a rebirth. The former lawmaker said the new party will not be like the PDP or the APC, vowing that NNPP would curb insecurity, bring peace, and be much considerate to the masses. Unveiling the party and inauguration of the steering committee leadership of the state and 23 local governments, Ankoyi said the party would ensure that within 28 days from now, it will hold its national convention.
Nigerians have almost invested all they have, all they can, within the span of reasonable time in this system of governance we call democracy, but they have reaped very little out of the system. You will agree with me, very evident, that our lives, the nationhood itself require a rebirth and a refocus. And that is the reason why we come up with the new concept of putting life into the New Nigeria People's Party.
Also, former member of the House of Representatives, who represented Soba Federal Constituency, said there is need to salvage Nigeria from the poor leadership of the APC.
As long as we are within the confines of the Electoral Act, I don't think we are late. Even the APC started this way. And with the people on ground, like I told you earlier, everyone is disillusioned. Everyone is tired of the way the country and the state are being run. So therefore, to mobilize the people is not a difficult task. What is good and what is important is for us to give the people the right platform.
You know, in life, when certain things are not auguring well as you expect and as you promise people, change is constant. So we have to move from change to progress. So the people of Nigeria and the Kaduna State people have been asking God, give us something new.
In attendance were politicians with their allies, party faithful, and large crowd of supporters.
Well, let's not forget the need or importance of registering for PVC, making effort to collect them when due, and be ready to vote, as it is not about a political party, but about a leader who will give citizens value for their votes. On unemployment issues, Lagos State government has promised to continue to provide more grants to timid youths and reduce unemployment to make the state a resilient city by creating an enabling and sustainable environment for the economic prosperity of Lagosians. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu stated this at the second edition of the Lagos Employment Summit held in Lagos. Lavi Kukoyedekun was there.
Seated here are various industry
is also one of the things that had been the impact, that has helped you, and to date, I think we have committed over 10 billion, to the fund and want to also do more.
Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget, Sam Egube, is hopeful that the summit will generate quality employment output and change the narratives.
So this conference is targeted at addressing the employment levels in the state through bridging the gap between job availability and employability in the labor market.
Delivering their keynote addresses, guest speakers commended the initiatives of the Lagos State government on wealth and employment creation for its population. They called on the state government to increase investments in youths in order to enhance and create opportunities for all.
The time to invest in our youth is right now. As policymakers, you all have a key role to play in helping our youths in their life journey.
Lagos State's commitment is visible in this employment summit today and underscores the high commitment of Lagos to bring those relevant in the employment sphere together and actively seek solutions.
Chairman Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, Bola Adeshola, also thanked stakeholders for demonstrating commitment towards tackling unemployment in the state.
These achievements of the fund within just 5 years have made it a model across the country, and we've seen other states create similar agencies to ensure that employment and entrepreneurship opportunities are created for their youth.
Executive Secretary LSATF, Tejumola Abisoye, who highlighted the achievements of the funds in the last 5 years, called on public and private stakeholders to actively collaborate, design and develop resilient policies and strategies for job creation. From Lagos, Love Ikuku Oyedokun, Plus TV News.
Moving on, the House of Representatives has rescinded its earlier decision on 3 of the gender bills it voted against. That was during the consideration of 68 recommendations during the Constitution Amendment last week. The Speaker, while making the announcement, said the decision by the House was to give the women a sense of belonging.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, made the announcement on the floor at plenary. This was after the House had held a brief executive session before the start of the day's legislative business. The Speaker said the House decision was born out of a quest for equity and for the good of the nation.
There are issues arising therefrom, and the House, in its wisdom, has decided to take a course of action for the good of the country. And that action is to rescind 3 of the decisions that were taken on that day, and after the rescission, release them on the next set of amendments coming up, I believe, Deputy Speaker, in the next 4 weeks. Within the next 4 weeks, they will come up again for voting.
You recall that on the 1st of March, the House voted for 68 items in respect of a constitutional amendment. However, the aforementioned 3 bills could not step through because you could not obtain the 2/3 majority to pass the bills.
Federal lawmakers in the House of Representatives reacted positively to the decision to rescind on their earlier decision.
The women lobbied, and they lobbied very, 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 very well. I think they did a good job. I will not throw them under the bus and say they didn't lobby enough. They did a very, very, very good job. But again, like we said, culture and religion, they're as old as civilization. They are hard to kill, they are hard to bury, they are hard to forget. But we've done a good job today. Everybody came, everybody expressed their opinion, and we all came to a common ground that no, we have to do this.
Though the fight for women inclusion has been on for over 20 years, since 1999. But for the past 1 week, the tempo has been higher than it was. And it is justifiably so. I say so because it's a moment in time for Nigeria to adjust her legal framework towards becoming better than we met it. And to achieve that, it must be holistic. Holistic in the sense that the hunger, the desire, the passion of every citizen of this country must be incorporated.
The National Assembly rejected 3 gender equality bills last week during constitution consideration of 68 bills, a decision which women groups across the country have rejected in all its entirety.
Now, disagreement between the Central Bank of Nigeria and Nigerian Customs and Excise has stalled the commencement of the evaluation e-invoice policy for import and export introduced by the Apex Bank. The House of Representatives had mandated the House Committees on Banking and Currency and Customs and Excise to wade into the non-compliance by associates, including the Customs, to adhere to the Apex Bank's directives.
On February 1, the Central Bank of Nigeria issued a directive to all operators to digitize the operating system at the nation's sea and airports as well as at the borders with the aim of plugging the leakages and recover more funds through the newly introduced revenue collecting system. Dr. Ozoemena Nnaji shed more light on why the Central Bank of Nigeria decided to introduce the new system at the ports, which she described as seamless. However, this directive was criticized by major stakeholders, including Customs, which said the new policy violated the World Trade Organization Agreement on Trade, and the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, which said the policy needed at least 90 days before full implementation.
If some companies are able to negotiate better price deal due to their scale of order and are able to get competitive lower prices, will these competitive prices be within the benchmark? Clearly, this aspect of the policy will lead to several challenges on valuation down the line, including floodgates of valuation issues with the Nigeria Customs Service.
Article 2 clearly emphasized the need for the consultation with both government and private bodies when introducing new measures. The attention of CBN needs to be drawn to the fact that this window is too short for proposed initiatives. It will definitely disrupt the trade, supply chain, and revenue collection.
The committee was forced to shift the hearing by 2 weeks when all the parties failed to reach an amicable understanding following interventions from lawmakers at the hearing.
The customs are just concerned about some conflict in the policy issues. Let them go and tidy out these conflict areas and report to the committee, give us one standard position. Now they have agreed on certain gray areas that will hamper or that will affect the implementation of this policy. And then we move on. We present our case to the committee. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Central Bank of Nigeria, Ministry of Finance, Nigeria Customs Service, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, and other agencies, maybe like Exporters Association. They are also crying of this e-policy that is going to affect their export. So we will make sure they are here on that day.
The committee adjourned to Thursday, 17th of March, for further hearing as it invites the Ministry of Finance for compliance.
It's now time for a short break. We will be right back with more.
Pigs in tight, airless cages, cows that don't know the taste of fresh grass, chickens that never go outdoors. That's the sad reality of factory farming. The production of ever cheaper meat comes at the expense of the animal's well-being. Cheap meat from poorly treated animals comes at the consumer's expense, too. After all, how can we ensure that the quality of animal products is good if the industry is all about reducing costs? The cost of meat. That's our topic today on Made in Germany, the business magazine on Deutsche Welle. It's good to have you with us. Sensitive, even sociable they are. These discoveries, in turn, are helping drive consumer preferences and driving demand for better, more humane production methods. Let's take a look at a farm that tries to raise happy pigs.
These pigs need an unusually large amount of straw. That's because of the enlightened approach taken by farmer Gabriele Møriksman. Instead of viewing her animals purely as future food, she treats them as living beings and places value on how they feel. She posts daily to social media with stories from her free-range enclosure. She believes that the setup appeals to consumers. Her pigs are not crammed into a single pen, as is the case with conventional pig farming, but are free to roam. As a result, the animals don't gain weight as quickly, so rearing them takes longer and costs more money. But the farmer is determined to give the animals a decent life, and her 2,000 or so pigs seem to appreciate it.
We've basically created an activity area for the pigs with twice the amount of space. And that costs more money. The animals can choose whether to go outside, go to the straw area, or to the shower area, which has a slated floor, or maybe go to the resting area. They can choose where they'd like to go the whole day long.
The farmer fences off her enclosure to protect her pigs from the African swine fever virus, which is often transmitted by wild boar. A few kilometers away, this farm, run by Jörn Ehlers, also has around 2,000 pigs. He uses a system of containment doors and footbaths for protection. As on most pig farms in Germany, his animals are housed in a conventional pen. That means they're caged in 24/7. A setup that animal welfare campaigners criticize. But Ehlers has other concerns right now. Since the outbreak of the African swine fever, his livestock are worth around 20 euro cents less per kilo.
It's pretty easy to calculate. If an average farmer in this region has 700 or 800 pigs, that quickly adds up to a loss of 15 or 20,000 euros from one day to the next.
Their price is falling because countries in Asia are currently no longer importing German pork because of the African swine fever. An alarming development for Jörn Ehlers and marketing expert Albert Hottmann-Scholten. Germans tend to eat only certain parts of the pig, which is why farmers here benefited from preferences that Asian consumers have.
The different markets complemented each other wonderfully. Germans primarily eat pan-fried parts like pork cutlets, meat from the neck or the loin, or pork chops. And Asians tend to eat more of the fatty parts, as well as parts with cartilage like the ears, feet and tail, which aren't so much in demand here. And it's going to become extremely difficult to find buyers for those parts in Europe and other countries.
Gabriele Møriksman had already designed an alternative marketing strategy for the pigs in her animal-friendly enclosure. And now, during the coronavirus crisis, that's paid off. Sarah Dehm runs a meat-cutting plant that processes 80 pigs a week from the Møriksman farm. It's a more complicated operation than at conventional large-scale meat factories. In this case, it's not just the prime cuts that are being sold. There's also demand for a wide variety of sausage concoctions. The resulting meat products are then sold throughout the country by Sarah Dehm, cutting out the dependency on overseas export products. Still, some parts are hard to sell, even in traditionally pork-hungry Germany.
With heads and pork belly, we're doing okay. There's bacon and jellied loaves, but only to a certain capacity. And with pigs' trotters, tails and ears, that's where we just don't have enough buyers. We can't get rid of them.
But that's only a minor setback. While conventional pig farms are absolutely dependent on Asian markets, Gabriele Møriksman is still doing okay sales-wise. Plus, the price for her pigs has remained stable.
In terms of efficiency, we're somewhere between conventional and organic, and there's a big interest in this among farmers. Not just with this system here. All animal-friendly concepts in Germany are seeing a major run among farmers.
And those concepts are also in demand among retailers. Low-priced meat products are now off the menu at this supermarket. The only pork on offer at the meat counter comes from farms like Gabriele Mörriksmann's. It's 30% more expensive than conventional pork. For supermarkets, it's a risk, but they too see something beyond the immediate profits.
We now have a different approach to selling meat. Our staff feels that way too, because it's something you can better identify with.
We may well have lost some customers who prefer budget meat from conventional farming. But we've also seen an increase in new customers coming from further afield.
Around 55 million pigs are slaughtered every year in Germany. So far, only a tiny portion of those is reared on animal-friendly farms. But Gabriele Mörriksmann is confident that their number will soon grow.
Meat was a crucial element of humankind's
market. Where does our apps they could sustain? The formation of large cities ushered in local slaughterhouses. Different kinds of butchers formed guilds and opened markets. Then came the Industrial Revolution. In 1865, Chicago opened its first meat-packing plants, in which entire herds of cattle were slaughtered and processed on assembly lines. The meatpacking industry went global after World War II, and meat consumption doubled. Meat, once a sign of prosperity, became an affordable commodity. In 2019, more pork was exported from the EU than anywhere else in the world, with Germany and Spain at the top. Brazil and Australia led in beef exports. Thanks to subsidies, the EU and the US have flooded world markets with cheap chicken. Countries like Ghana can't keep up and have largely stopped producing domestic chicken meat. Nowadays, it's hard to figure out where the meat in our supermarkets comes from. It's bred, fed, slaughtered and processed in different countries according to where it's cheapest. Animal welfare is usually disregarded. Scandals over rotten meat, horse meat in lasagna, low wages and the damage done to the environment by mass meat production have harmed meat's image. Although nowadays our brain gets enough nutrients from other foods, worldwide meat consumption isn't going down. But maybe the meat of the future will come from the laboratory.
Well, test tube taco meat may not sound especially appealing, but there is indeed a growing variety of meat substitutes that are carving their way into the market. And with meat hardly a luxury anymore, avoiding animal products has actually become a trend in many countries. Now, it's not just concerns over animal welfare that are driving the switch to vegan diets, but worries about the impact of animal products on our health and the environment.
It's no secret, the food industry is a climate killer, producing more than a quarter of all CO2 emissions worldwide. That's more than the emissions of cars, planes and ships combined. Farming accounts for 70% of our consumption of fresh water, and 50% of all habitable land is used by the agriculture industry.
We have to rethink our food system and our food environment where products are being produced and consumed. We figure out that there is a need to produce more, better, with less.
Why the international NGO ProVeg has made it one of their goals to reduce the consumption of animal products.
It's become more and more clear how much these animals, which we call livestock, suffer. Basically, these are animals that are bred under the worst conditions for the sole purpose of becoming meat on our plates.
The world's population is forecast to grow to almost 10 billion by 2050. And more people means more food. In fact, up to 60% more food might be needed. That's not good news for our planet, but there are environmentally friendly alternatives.
For example, researchers at Oxford University have calculated that a plant-based diet, specifically the CO2 footprint of a plant-based diet, could be reduced by 73%.
And the message seems to be catching on. Meat consumption in the global north has been declining for years. One reason is the development of meat alternatives. It's a market that's been growing steadily in Western countries. The NGO hopes that by 2040 the consumption of animal products will drop by 50%.
If you look at how fast the market is growing, especially for vegan and plant-based meat alternatives, then maybe we're not so far away from this goal anymore.
Many consumers are now giving more thought to what they buy. They're paying more attention to the ecological and ethical effects their choices have. But many people still crave the taste of meat and have a hard time giving it up. That's where meat alternatives come in. The traditional German meat processing company Rügenwalder Mühle picked up on the trend early on. The company has been focusing on meat substitutes since 2015, with success.
In July, for the first time, we sold more alternative products than meat and sausages.
And demand seems to be growing all the time.
When you look at studies and predictions about the world market and the German market, then you see the German market is at about 215 million euros. The prognosis for 2030 is that we'll be at almost 30 billion euros by